In open
Thanks
court,
for having me, John.
in open court yesterday, Michael Cohen said that he made these payments in coordination with and at the direction of the President of the United States. That's Michael Cohen's word. What other proof, what other evidence is there to back that up?
Donald Trump's own lawyers are the best evidence. They stated in a letter to the special counsel that Donald Trump directed, that's the word they used, Michael Cohen to make these payments to hush up these two women. And Donald Trump didn't sign the check to own up. He told Michael Cohen, according to his lawyers, who would be witnesses against him. So there's no dispute by his own lawyers that Donald Trump directed Michael Cohen to do this.
What letter? I've heard you refer to this letter. We have not seen this letter. What letter? When was it written? Which lawyers?
I am stunned because it's public. It was reported by many news outlets that Donald Trump's lawyers sent a letter to the special counsel in which they used the word directed concerning these payments. And Rudy Giuliani very famously threw his client under the bus and said, oh, he wasn't telling the truth on Air Force One when he said he knew nothing about this. He was actually not telling the truth, but that's not a crime. And Rudy Giuliani confirmed and used the word reimbursement, which in and of itself is a campaign violation because a reimbursement is a donation for the purpose of political protection.
Lanny, the letters that we've seen that the president's lawyers have written to the special counsel have to do specifically with the Russia investigation and possible obstruction. Specifically, they say the president directed different people in terms of dictating the letter to the Trump Tower meeting, but I have not seen any admission from the president's lawyers that he directed Michael Cohen to make these payments. Now, you're absolutely right. Rudy Giuliani, much later, we're talking about last spring, said that Donald Trump did, in the form of a retainer, authorize repayments to Michael Cohen. That much is known.
Well, first of all, you'll have to check the record that they were referring to the direction to Michael Cohen to make these payments, but they also acknowledged when he filed the campaign finance report that they were donations by him in his 2017 disclosure forms, and Giuliani himself acknowledged it. So there is really not a dispute of fact here. It's not about credibility on this issue. It is an undisputed fact that Donald Trump lied. Then his own lawyer said he lied, in effect, and that he was involved and aware, even though he said he wasn't. And then his own lawyers in their letter to the special counsel
Are there more tape recordings?
Indicated as such.
You released one recording of Michael Cohen and the president talking about one payment that had to do with the Inquirer. Are there any other recordings?
I don't know. I can't answer that question yet. We'll just have to see what happens on other recordings.
All right, we're going to go look for the letter where you say that the president's legal team admits that the president directed Michael Cohen to make these payments, because that is important here. But I want to ask you about something else you've said. You've said, again, in the interviews you've done over the last 24 hours or so, that Michael Cohen has knowledge about the computer crime of hacking and whether or not Mr. Trump knew ahead of time about that crime and even cheered it on. Please explain.
Well, I was a little bit less definitive than that. I said it's my observation that Mr. Cohen has knowledge that would be of interest to the special counsel about the issue of whether Donald Trump ahead of time knew about the hacking of emails, which is a computer crime that was the subject of the indictment of the 12 Russians. And we'll just have to see what Mr. Cohen is able to say from direct knowledge when and if he discusses this with the special counsel.
So when and if? He has not had that discussion with the special counsel.
So I can't answer that question except to say that I believe he has knowledge that would be of interest to the special counsel.
You believe he has knowledge that would be of interest. Does he know that the president knew beforehand of the hack?
I can only say, because I'm an attorney, I'm limited. I usually like to answer direct questions if you have known me through the years. But when you're an attorney and your client shares confidences with you, you can't reveal them at the risk of waiving all of your attorney-client privilege on confidences. But I am willing to say my observation is that the topics relating to hacking and the crime of hacking laid out in the indictments of the 12 Russians that there are subjects that Michael Cohen could address that would be of interest to the special
You say
counsel.
it could, which indicates that he has not. I'm just saying the implication of the words you are choosing carefully, and you choose your words very carefully, are that he could discuss it, which implies that he has not yet. Has there been any conversation between the special counsel's office and Michael Cohen?
So let me contradict the implication and simply say I can't answer the question whether he has or whether he hasn't.
Had any
I don't want
discussions?
to interfere in anything the special counsel is doing. I think he's a great man, operating silently like a submarine, no
Absolutely.
leaks. And I don't want to say anything regarding his activities, whether or not Mr. Cohen has talked to him.
Was this subject that you have been the one to primarily bring up since yesterday, this idea that possibly Michael Cohen has knowledge of some kind of the president's mindset before the hacking, was that part of the agreement that you and Michael Cohen reached with the Southern District of New York?
No. The agreement in the Southern District was about a crime that Michael Cohen admitted to and said that the President of the United States directed and coordinated that crime, making him complicit and equally culpable. And then as evidence of that, I have cited other members of his legal team who have corroborated that statement.
One of the things that came up in the Washington Post reported this as they looked over the documents, is that the Trump organization reimbursed Michael Cohen for these payments that he made in an amount greater than the actual payment. Why?
That's easy.
Why?
That's easy. When you spend money that's after-tax dollars and you're reimbursed for that expenditure, you're paid, it's called grossing up. So if you spend $100 after you've paid your taxes and you're going to be reimbursed, you'll be paid $200 to pay your taxes to get it down to $100. So it's called grossing up, meaning you're paid the money that includes the taxes that you would have paid had you not paid the money after taxes.
So it was for no services beyond the payment to Stormy Daniels.
Beyond the grossing up, meaning paying for the gross income, he then was paid extra for additional services, I think approximately $60,000, something in that neighborhood.
What additional services?
Well, he continued to be an advisor to Donald Trump on retainer. There are many clients that I represent that pay a monthly retainer for me to be available for advice. And Mr. Trump was willing to pay slightly more than the amount that would be the equivalent of the $130,000, including the income taxes, to be paid to hush up Ms. Daniels.
A couple other questions, house cleaning notes here. Any sense that the federal government is investigating or would use testimony from Michael Cohen to go after David Pecker or AMI, the National Enquirer folks? Any knowledge of that?
I have no knowledge of that at all.
Would Michael Cohen seek a pardon from the President of the United States for any of this?
The answer is definitively no, under no circumstances, since he came to the judgment after Mr. Trump's election to the President of the United States that his suitability is a serious risk to our country. And certainly after Helsinki creates serious questions about his loyalty to our country, his answer would be no. I do not want a pardon from this man.
We heard from Mark Warner and Richard Burr yesterday from the Senate Intelligence Committee, who say they reached out to Michael Cohen and his legal team to get a clarification on testimony. That testimony we believe that he made to the committee, Michael Cohen made, was that he had no knowledge of the nature of the Trump Tower meeting, that it was the Russians providing dirt on Hillary Clinton before the Trump Tower meeting. There was reporting after that fact from CNN and others that Michael Cohen was willing to say that he did know. Is it your understanding now that the Senate has been told, no, Michael Cohen stands by his testimony, he did not know of the Trump Tower meeting beforehand?
That's correct, and the reporting was a bit garbled. We take a good amount of responsibility under the difficulties of facing a criminal investigation and not being able to explain or correct or straighten things out, that there's some truth to the news reporting, but we weren't able to do anything further in the middle of a criminal investigation, now in the middle of waiting to cooperate with Mr. Mueller. But to say that he testified truthfully to both the Senate and the House committees.
Will Michael Cohen willingly testify under oath to any congressional committee without immunity?
Yes, I believe I can say that. I haven't specifically asked my client that question, but I'm stating my belief that the answer to that question is yes. We've set up a fund that has the title Michael Cohen truthfund.com to help him and his family through this terrible time. We're asking people who are wanting to help Michael Cohen tell the truth to donate to the website michaelcohentruthfund.com.
Okay. We're hearing from our White House reporters this morning that one of the things that allies of the president, what they're going to do is go after your client, Michael Cohen, as a liar and a non-credible witness.
Of course. When they're caught in a lie, they attack. They divert attention. They lie some more so that they can change the topic, as we now know their strategy about throwing out various topics. What we know that cannot be denied, let me repeat one more time. The president's lawyers are the witnesses to support what Michael Cohen said under oath, which is something Donald Trump's not willing to do yet, and probably never, under oath. He was directed personally by Donald Trump to write that check for $130,000 using home financing funds.
What they'll say, though,
and
Lanny, is that
directed by Donald Trump, according to his own lawyers.
Is that that's a different story today than was told when the Wall Street Journal first reported the story some months ago, so that Michael Cohen has lied about this over the course of time.
Well, there has been an evolution in his loyalty to Donald Trump. Many things that he has said he would like to redo and has regrets about. But I know what he now said under oath was corroborated by Mr. Giuliani and his own legal team. So on anything else and attacking his credibility, which is what Trump does, rather than tell the truth, he attacks other people. He's got to now attack Giuliani, who literally called the President of the United States a liar, or at least figuratively, when he said, well, what Trump said on Air Force One, when he denied any knowledge, oh, it's not a crime to lie. And, of course, this is the man that says truthfulness is not the same as truthfulness.
We got to let you go. Lanny Davis, really appreciate you being with us this morning. I suspect there are more conversations to come.